You're looking at a really good talk that Gerhard gave. He tried to give it at KubeCon, but it didn't happen, so he recorded it, and I think it's a good thing he did. In this talk, he very eloquently describes what the square hole is in the context of tech. I'm not sure if you've seen this video from this comedian where she basically sees someone trying to fit a given figure into the proper hole, but the guy keeps using the square hole, and as it continues to happen, the girl gets more and more frustrated. What Gerhard was explaining in this talk is that your favorite tool is, in fact, the square hole. You will try to see how you can fit that favorite tool into pretty much anywhere that you can. And it might feel good, it might feel bad, you will still go for it. So today, we're going to talk about YAML. Now, YAML is not my favorite tool. I'm not sure if it's anybody's favorite tool. It's a tool that, to get started, feels relatively good. You know, you're typing some stuff, you type some config, you do this, you do that, and all of a sudden you have something that roughly works. But as time goes on, it gets more and more complicated, and at a certain point, it just gets untenable. I don't know if some of you have worked with Helm and Helm templates, but I don't wish that to anybody. So today we're going to see if Dagger can help us remove every single YAML. Now, if you have seen a GitHub workflow, you know that there's like a certain anatomy to it. You have a section where you define how you want your workflow to be triggered. You have a bunch of sections that are just GitHub specific, and then you have the actual jobs. Now, if you're Daggerizing your projects, you probably already have a very slim YAML. You basically have a one Dagger call or a few Dagger calls. The important logic is taken care of by Dagger, but you still have to write every single config for the GitHub workflow, and those can still become a little bit complicated and cumbersome to develop on. As an experiment, an idea that we're testing, Solomon wrote a module called GHA, where instead of writing the actual config yourself, what if you have a DSL that you can use, a Dagger DSL, a Dagger module, and that module generates the configs for you, meaning all you have to do is just define your pipelines with functions, where you can say with pipeline, say hello, specify the function that I want to use, the module that I want to use, and then just generate it. You commit that to your repo, and you have a GitHub workflow with technically no YAML inside. Now, you have to close your eyes because there actually is YAML. This generates a GitHub workflows directory that you have to commit, and you won't be working on it, but it's still there. And it might be bugging your mind the fact that your repository still has like that 1% YAML thing that GitHub shows you. So can we get rid of it? That's where PocketCI comes in. Inspired by Solomon's GHH module, we basically work on defining your pipelines with the same kind of DSL, where you just say, I want to run a pipeline called checks. This pipeline will run whenever these files change. It will run when there's a pull request and the actions are this one, or a push to these branches. It's going to run the module CI, and it's going to run test and lint in parallel. I could also just run test or run whatever I may want. Then I have a publish module that only runs on push to main, and it will run only after the checks pipeline has completed. I use the GHA module to grab all these pipelines and then just return that. It basically returns a file, but you don't have to commit that file. You don't even have to know what that file is. You just have to put it there so that PocketCI can take care of interpreting it. And that's all you write. You don't write any YAML. You just write this, and PocketCI will take care of all the parsing, all the dispatching, and all that stuff. I think PocketCI is becoming less Pocket as time goes on, but we'll see. So now time for the demo, because if not, everything that I said...
you just need a bigger Pocket.
Sorry, what?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. I said you just need a bigger Pocket. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here where network is unreachable. Okay, so demos are not working. Can you hear me? Because I think internet is actually going away.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, yep. Now it's working. Now it's starting. So in this terminal, we're running the control plane of PocketCI. This control plane is connected to GitHub, and it will be receiving events from the GitHub webhooks integration. And on this pane, we're going to run the agent. The agent is going to be hitting the control plane, asking for new jobs that it needs to run. Then right here, I have a few changes that I can commit. And let's say test. We can push it. And then we're going to see that the control plane would actually receive the event from GitHub. It will start parsing it. It will call our PocketCI function. And from there, it will actually generate the config to generate, which means which Dagger calls do I actually need to run. It will save all of those, all the call graph, the dependencies between, like, if I need to run test first, then lint, then publish, whatever that may be. It will keep that all in state. And then the agent will eventually pick that up once the actual pipeline is processed. So we can see here that we have GHA with pipeline, we have the checks, we have open and synchronize, we have the push on main. This is basically running everything. There's a way to make this faster. Haven't gotten to that part yet. But this is basically, trying to interpret what exactly the user wants to run. And once it knows, it will actually enqueue those jobs. And you can see here that the repository is being cloned and the engine already picked up the test and the corresponding lint that we need to run. So this will download the binary. It will do a bunch of stuff. It will clone it. Apparently, internet is not working great. So I hope the stream is working because the cloning is taking a really long time. While that happens, let's see if Cloud is actually working. And I have some traces being shipped to the UI. There we go. So we have these two traces that we can see are being run. Let's go. Nice. And then we're working with the PocketCI repository, trying to run the commands that are specified in the pipeline. And this is stuck. Okay, that's too bad. I don't want to hold you. I don't know what's going on with the internet. My stream was lagging while Diego was doing an amazing demo. So hopefully you can still hear me. But
we can hear you.
This was supposed to show you. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. This was supposed to show you that the Dagger call was running. But you know how demos go. I should have recorded it like Diego did. That's actually
now we know it's real. Now we know it's a real demo.
You do, yeah.
So wait, let me just describe what I'm
Go
seeing
ahead.
because I think maybe people are watching and not realizing just how crazy this is. You basically replaced your CI with a Dagger module. It's basically 100% Dagger native CI, or maybe CI less Dagger. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're getting the events instead of the Git events going from your repo to the third-party CI control plane configured by YAML, kicking off some VMs so that you can call a Dagger function, a Dagger pipeline. So Git to CI to Dagger, it's basically Git to Dagger.
Yeah.
Right. Mediated. The Dagger itself doesn't catch the events. It doesn't orchestrate that, but you wrote a CI that's 10 times simpler because it doesn't need 90% of the features. It just needs to get events and run Dagger functions, and that's it, right? It's like the Dagger maximalist solution when you only want Dagger. It's like Dagger native CI. That's exactly what we just looked at. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very extreme.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. There was an even more extreme version, but I decided to go with something that gives the users a little bit more customization. And this is where we basically landed, inspired by the GHA module, which I actually just call it the same way. It's basically like PocketCI right now. It's aiming to be a vendor-specific CI, meaning that it lets you plug into the events that particular vendor gives you, and gives you like a DSL for that. It doesn't give you a layer of abstraction on top of it, but you can create it if you want, and you can just plug it in and run your Dagger calls. If
you got a question,
it's a PocketCI. Yeah.
You got a question.
Yeah.
I put it on the screen. Yeah. My understanding is this is not a service. It's an open source project.
Yes.
Developed for fun by Matias, and I think Marcos participated also, right?
Yes.
It's it's just an itch that you guys wanted to scratch, but I know others in the community want to scratch it also because if you use once you change your CI to be primarily about running Dagger functions, at some point you look at the pile of YAML and additional infrastructure that's sitting between your Git events and your Dagger call, and you're thinking, maybe I don't need all of these moving parts. I can maybe shrink it. I mean, it's kind of it's a natural process as you become more radicalized by Dagger.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not a
As you
service, it's not a
type, right?
product. It's an open source project. Yeah.